moving off from the Green Bay Packers and the whole Aaron Rodgers situation, but keeping on the sort of like same train as quarterbacks and moves around the NFL, there's one thing that has been, in talks lately, and that is Deshaun Watson potentially moving away from the Tennessee Titans. Jesus Christ, the Texans. What do you think? Do you feel like Deshaun Watson is going? Do you feel like he will not be around? Do you feel like they're going to trade him, or do you feel like he's going to stay?
I predicted this before the season started. You can go back to one of my first episodes. I predicted that he would go to a team like maybe for you like the Patriots or a team that needs a quarterback right now, and they can give up of 2 first-round picks here. And I think the only situation where you can see this happening is if he tries getting a trade, because the Texans are not going to try getting rid of this guy. But you could see, I think if JJ Watt leaves, I think Deshaun Watson is next, and I definitely can see JJ Watt leaving this team. I don't think Deshaun Watson wants to sit around for a few more years doing a rebuild.
Well, we saw the unhappiness of JJ Watt in his press conference. We saw that this guy was not happy with the way the organization had set things up. We saw that he wasn't happy with Bill O'Brien. Obviously, he didn't mention that, but let's be honest, we knew that Bill O'Brien was the reason for this Texans team ultimately crumbling, getting rid of DeAndre Hopkins for David Johnson. That was a move that really surprised everyone. And it did not work out for them. It did not work out for them. And we know that JJ Watt's unhappy. We saw a mic'd up just a couple of days back. I think they released it 2 days ago. And it was JJ Watt apologizing after week 17 to Deshaun Watson for wasting one of his years. And, JJ Watt is such an influential guy on that team, right? Like, not only in that team, sorry, but that city, like Houston, you know, he's been such a big contributor to the city. He's been such a big contributor for the team, and he's only got love and passion, and he's only coming at things with his best interest. And when he tells the quarterback, "I'm sorry, we've done this to you," like there's no way Deshaun Watson sat there and went, "Oh, okay, yeah, it's okay, no worries. It doesn't matter next year." You know what I mean? He sat in his mind and went, "I did waste one of my years." JJ Watt told me, there, and I wouldn't be surprised. Wasn't there a rumor that he spoke to his teammates on actually requesting a trade? I believe as well. So the words around the locker room that Deshaun's going, but the Texans can't get rid of him. They can't afford to lose him. Like, he's been their only bright spark. Him and JJ Watt. But let's be honest, JJ Watt's getting old. He isn't going to be the same player as he is. But he's their only bright spark future wise. I'm sorry, but if you lose him, you turn into the New York Jets, in my opinion. You turn into an organization where you're probably going to be looking for that number one spot, that number one pick in the next draft or the draft after. And, if he does go, I'm sorry, Texans fans, but I don't feel like it's going to be good for you. I don't feel like it's going to be good for you. Do you feel like he's going to go to a? Actually, if you do feel like he's going to leave, where do you think he's going to actually move to? What do you think is the best fit for Deshaun Watson right now if he is to be traded?
If he was to be traded, it would be to a team with a top 10 pick right now. So you could see a team like maybe the Dolphins, because a lot of people are saying that they don't like Tua Tagovailoa, and some of the throws you saw from him this year, you're not sure what it is. So you could see him possibly going to Miami and trading back that pick they had this year they traded for the Laremy Tunsil trade. So you could see that potentially happening and another pick. But I don't see him going to the Dolphins, but you could see a team like the Panthers possibly, or a team like the Washington football team, or a team like maybe the Falcons want to have him instead of Matt Ryan. All these teams that need a quarterback, but I think the Patriots are going to go and get this guy. Or even the Vikings maybe. They want to move off Kirk Cousins and get him. You can see all these different teams. There's not one definitive team, in my opinion, that says this guy is definitely going here. I think with J.J. Watt with a few teams, but I don't know for Deshaun Watson.
Hey, I actually do like what you said about him going to the Vikings. Now, there's one thing that we saw when he was with the Texans is when he had targets, when he had weapons around him. He is a good quarterback. Yeah, he can use his feet, but he can throw. Like, he can make plays. He knows how to be a pocket quarterback, and at the same time knows when to, dial up the run and actually take off. And the Vikings have a good couple of wide receivers down there. They have Dalvin Cook, so obviously you don't have to rely on Deshaun Watson's ability to run and throw. You have that running back to sort of relieve the pressure. Hey, you take a run. Let's no more. We'll take a break. Stop throwing it. And also, there's one thing that comes into my mind is Deshaun Watson has played in Houston, warm climate, and also he's played indoors. So I feel like him going to a team like the Patriots, I feel like he might struggle just a little bit because of the weather. Indoor teams, usually struggle when they go outdoors. They only play well at indoor stadiums, and the Vikings have a very nice indoor facility. It might be cold there, but they have a nice indoor stadium. They have facilities that stop them from playing out in the cold. And I feel like that's just a good fit for him. Kirk Cousins obviously isn't the future for the Vikings. The Vikings are playoff contenders, and if they have Deshaun Watson there, there's no question about it. They probably will be in the playoffs. I feel like that's the best fit for him personally. I don't feel like the best fit's in New England. There's one thing in New England that is very common, and it's they don't like paying people the big money. They don't like to splash the cash. They would rather get someone who is, $1 million, $2 million cheaper, who's not as good, but they feel like they can develop him into, a player who can be, potentially a good player. But they would rather do that than go ahead and, take a big player, pay him all the money. That's how Bill Belichick is. He's cheap, and so I don't see him going there because, yeah. Yeah, it's like there's no way you can go, well, look what I've been able to do with this, awful offense. Look how I've been able to play. If you got a few people around me, he'd be like, yeah, well, fair, how he is. He just, if you don't like it, then you can go. And it's like, come on, like you're not going to be able to convince Bill Belichick. I don't think he'll go to New England. I do think it's a good fit for him as the Vikings, but hey, it wouldn't surprise me if the Panthers actually picked him up because let's be honest, the Panthers are in the dire position of needing a quarterback. Like, dire position. It's like you could end up being an awful team. Like granted they looked okay this season. They played a little bit good in the first couple of weeks, but we all know there's the big issue there, that is the quarterback position. So if he does go there, that's not a bad move. But Texans fans, I'm sorry, but if he does move on, and if JJ Watt does move on as well, your organization is going to become the New York Jets. It is going to become, hey, we need a first round pick sort of thing, probably a tanking season. But yeah, there you go. Deshaun Watson, I feel like would fit pretty nicely in Minnesota.
I mean, even no matter what team he goes to, every team is going to get better. So I think even the Vikings have first round talent on the offensive line, and they're adding to it. They have a young defense, that is attempting to get better. You spent a first round pick on Cam Dantzler, I think his name was, at the cornerback position. You had so many injuries on that defense. That's why the defense was so incredibly bad this year. You see a bunch of those guys coming back from injury, and the defense playing well. And you have Deshaun Watson at the quarterback position with Justin Jefferson and Adam Thielen and all these guys. You could definitely see this team being a 14-2 team like they were a few years ago, or 13-3, where they could be made a Super Bowl. But at this point, what happened to Kirk Cousins? Where does Kirk Cousins go?